Welcome to Always Finding Joy, Chelle's life story. So, I was born on July 25th, 1974, and my parents, who adopted me eventually in February 1975, technically took me home in August 7th to be exact, at only 13 days old. Now, let me tell you how I found out I was adopted. You see, my father was driving me to elementary school one morning, and he just told me this really cool story about adoption and how it works. And he said, "You're special, Chelle, because you yourself are adopted." I went to school that day, y'all, thinking I was the coolest kid in the world. I was probably the most stuck up, snobbiest child ever. And I normally was a very sweet kid, honestly. But I always felt unique, different, but not always special. Sometimes kind of weird, kind of out of sorts, not understanding why. Started wondering about my past, my history, my birth parents especially, like many of us adoptees do. I remember when my adoptive grandmother took me to see the movie Annie, and my favorite song is Maybe, because in that song she talks about her birth parents. Maybe my birth mom's sitting there playing piano, maybe the birth dad's sitting playing bills. Well, we're going to fast forward now a little bit. Throughout my childhood, I was actually very shy. Can you believe that? Me, if you know me, you know I'm not shy anymore. I'm very social, very outgoing. I was so shy in third grade. My teacher sent a note home to my parents and said, "We're worried about your daughter, Chelle, because she's smart and we know she knows all the answers, but she won't raise her hand to answer even one because she is that shy." So shy that when I had pneumonia in third grade, almost died, and went back to school in the snow in the winter and had to jog a mile for gym class because I would not give my PE teacher that doctor's note. Too shy. So glad I overcame that. Fast forward, junior high, got into orchestra. Music started helping me kind of come out of my shell, pun intended. And then high school, well, my parents were high school teachers, you see. My father taught at my high school. My mother taught at a different high school, but she and my father both were my prom chaperones. My father was my senior class sponsor. He was even my own teacher for 3 weeks when he taught the entire senior class Macbeth, because he loved to teach Shakespeare. He taught British literature, you see. My British roots I get through my adoptive side. My maiden name and all. I'm very proud of that heritage. And don't tell me I don't have British roots just because I'm adopted. Then I got into band. So I switched from orchestra to band in 10th grade. No one ever does that. They're like, once you learn one instrument, stick with it. Not me. I was like, I want to go to marching band. I did flag corps. I did French horn. I did percussion. And I made these lifelong friends. And from that, I moved on into college. And I have those lifelong friends too now from the dorms and all. It's great. But we're going to go deep now because at age 24, I got so sick. You see, I was actually sick from 14 to 24, but all the doctors told me something wasn't wrong with me. It was just all in my head. But let me tell you how I found out some answers. So we're going to switch gears for a moment because here and there I might do a couple monologues and some poetry and comedy. You'll see. Behind me is some artwork, by the way. That's me I drew in 2020. I call it the half smile and tired eyes. You'll hear about that later too. So here we go. This monologue, that is called The Letter. So I appreciate you taking me on this tour of my adoption agency and all. And that rocking chair over there, it really bothers me. It bothers me that you can't tell me who held me when I was a baby. I don't understand. Like, people are born and it's usually their mom and dad that hold them, but you can't tell me who held me in that rocking chair. That you're telling me is the rocking chair that whoever held me rocked me that my birth mom never got to hold me, but she saw me through that glass window over there. All right, well, I was hoping to get some closure, some answers, but you just told me that the hospital I was born at also burned down to the ground. How convenient. You tell us adoptees that all the time, how we conveniently lose our medical records and all. Mm, 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 mm. Thanks again. Have a great day. Whoa, what do you mean wait? What do you mean there's something in my file? How can I have anything in my file? Not the first time I've been here since I was born, obviously, and adopted. All right, I'll wait. Okay, okay. What is this? What do you mean there's a 10-page letter from my birth mother sitting in my file for 10 years? What are you talking about? You have some weird law that I have to register first before you can give me any information like this out? Well, I did call when I was 18, and y'all told me I had to be 21. So I just got scared away. And it took me all this time because now I'm 24 and I'm sick and I'm almost dying. I'm anemic. My friends are taking me to IHOP so I don't faint to get steak and orange juice because I'm having 30-day cycles, women issues, and no one can figure it out because the doctors keep saying it's in my head. And you're telling me there's a 10-page letter from my birth mother sitting in my file for 10 years? Dear Chelle, my name is Susie. I'm your birth mother. I gave you up at age 17. Your birth dad was 23. I'm sorry to tell you this, but I had to have a hysterectomy after I gave you up for adoption. You are my only child. I hope you don't have this too, but I have a female disease and it's called endometriosis. Please make sure to get checked out. I got checked out all right. But even after the letter, I didn't have that courage yet. I'd never even heard of endometriosis. I didn't know how to spell it. What are you talking about? Had to go on the internet. Thank goodness for that. Let's Google it now and see. Matches every symptom. These doctors have told me for 10 years that it's all in my head. No, it's not. I can't wait to get a diagnosis and get well. So the adoption agency, y'all see, they had us write these letters back and forth, but we can only sign one name. She signed Susie, I signed Chelle. She was smart, y'all. She's so smart. She figured it out. She was like, okay, I know she's in college. Let's guess a public university from what she's writing in the letters. Then she hired somebody because she didn't want to wait for the whole process. You see, they make you go through counseling. They make you go through, every letter they read. They decide if you get the letters or not. They decide if and when, what communication is allowed, even though it's my birth mother and I'm her daughter. Such control things, right? November 23rd, 1998. I'm in my dorm waiting for my college professor to call me back about my essay because I'm about to leave to go back home for the holidays for Thanksgiving week. My friend Kazoo's working the front desk. Chelle, there's a lady on the phone asking for you. I'll just take it here, Kazoo. It's my college professor. No big deal. I just had a quick question for her. Pick up the phone. Is this Chelle? Yes. This is Susie. I found you. Start shaking. Can I call you right back? I know it sounds crazy, but I'm in the lobby of my own dorm. I can't talk to you for the first time ever in front of all these people. What is your phone number? I'll call you right back. I swear. I'll run upstairs. I swear. Let me get to my dorm room immediately. I did. We discovered she only lived less than an hour away. We met that same night. Her husband came along too, that I call now my stepdad. We spent so much time together. She even took a drink with me. It was awesome. Until 2 in the morning, we hung out. She convinced me to get checked out. So I did. They initially found endometriosis in my left ovary, just like hers, but that's only on the sonogram, the ultrasound, whatever you call it, all that stuff. But to really get a diagnosis and treatment for endometriosis, they have to do it like an endoscopy style, where they go in with a camera and see how much it's spread. Y'all, mine had spread for 10 years. I was my doctor's second worst case. The first worst case, I was only 24 at the time. Second worst case was a woman 30 years older than me because mine had spread into my sinuses, my intestines, all over my body. But I didn't give up. No. I had 3 surgeries that college semester, along with individual counseling, family group counseling, because I was determined to not give up school and get it together. I wanted to meet my entire birth family, which I did gradually. Birth mother first, birth father last, May 1999. All went well. Met the extended family. Beautiful. I have 3 siblings, 2 birth brothers, 1 birth sister. We get along great. Always wanted a brother, and now I have 2. Whew. But after 5 years from 24 to 29 of surgeries and treatments, nothing was working until I finally had to have a hysterectomy at age 29. Pathology report came back, confirmed everything I already knew. Your ovaries are ruined. You never could have gotten pregnant, just to reassure you. Oh, thanks for that reassurance. I did try motherhood once. I was actually a foster care mom. I don't talk about it much. It's kind of painful. It's hard to say goodbye, you know. But Johanna, that's her name, baby girl Johanna, was amazing. Took care of her a decade ago. And she's been a huge blessing actually during this pandemic. I have been reunited with her virtually and hopefully in person soon. So proud of her. She's into martial arts and volleyball. Great kid. But sometimes you have to say goodbye because they go back to their birth family. They go back to their families. And I'm very happy for her. Don't get me wrong. But after having to say goodbye and cry every night for 1 year, I just couldn't do it again, y'all. I just decided that motherhood just not meant for me, and that's okay. Gradually, I did find stand-up comedy. That is my outlet. That is my love. That is my passion now. So let's move on now to 2008. We're going to switch gears again to another monologue. All right, y'all. Oops, I dropped my book. That's okay. Comedy relief's good, right? Don't worry if you're crying or laughing or feeling both. Most people tell me they have mixed emotions when I share my life story. I feel the same way, you know? Life is like a roller coaster full of ups and downs, but I always find joy in it, and you're going to find out how and why soon. So stay tuned here. This monologue is called The State Fair. And right now, when I'm wearing black, it doesn't look like it, but you'll see why soon. Okay. It's 2008. I am sick and tired of having to go to a funeral home, a hospital, a nursing home. My father died first, March 17th, 2008. How ironic. My British adoptive father died on an Irish holiday, and I have Irish roots through my birth side of the family. It's like opposite day for him. Guess the last joke was on me. That's just how he was. He had a great sense of humor, y'all. So great that after his funeral, when I went to the gas station to buy 20 copies of his obituary, and the clerk insisted I knew someone famous in the newspaper. And she just would not shut up about it. So I said, sure, I'll show you. And I pointed to my father's obituary. You should have seen the look on her face. She was mortified, unintended there. It was hilarious. It made me laugh. It was okay. I told her I understood. I lost another great aunt and uncle that were married. In the middle of all this, I had 2 broken arms because I tripped and fell at the Fort Worth stockyards on a piece of brick that wasn't pasted down. I know, how silly, right? Yeah, I learned to crochet. That was my physical therapy daily. Then my birth uncle, he died on my birthday. I like to say that my earthly birthday is his heavenly birthday. Sounds nicer, doesn't it? Bittersweet. I'd gone through this grief recovery class to only deal with my father's death. No one else had died yet. By the time my class ended because it's rather lengthy. 2 weeks after my mother died, but prior, I was asked to volunteer teach. You see, they choose 1 or 2 students each course that they think would be a good fit as a teacher. And I was flattered, and I thought, sure, I'd like to give back. But then my mother died. How can I teach grief recovery when my mother just died? I just lost 2 parents in 6 months apart. Not even a whole year. I haven't even finished mourning the loss of my own father. Now I got to mourn my mother too, because the hospital staff gave both of them MRSA. Yeah, COVID's bad. I know firsthand about infectious diseases and all. It's horrible. It is bad. My father, he fought a staph infection. Yeah, he died the next morning. His got in his bloodstream overnight. My mother, she fought for 3 days till she died. They were each in the hospital for other serious health issues, don't get me wrong, but they might have lived longer if they hadn't caught that. If the hospitals, the medical staff, if they had a better treatment, better solution, which I think it's getting better nowadays, but it's still not a cure. Just like COVID, we're still trying to figure it out, right? I know too well, y'all, too well. So I called the chaplain in to the hospital room before she died and had him pray over her. And I told him my situation. And he said, you know what, Chelle? You don't have to be strong to teach grief recovery. You just need to be there, because your presence and them knowing your story itself and knowing that you are there for those students, you are there for them, will help them enough. So I stuck with it, and I have been volunteer teaching grief recovery ever since. And he was right, and I'm glad I have. I have helped students deal with not just death, but divorce, and even parents that had lost their own kids that had gone into the foster care system, and even helped them get their kids back out of foster care, back into their lives, back into their homes with their parents. It's not easy to hear these stories, but it's rewarding to know I'm making a difference. I don't want to go through hell and back and not find a way to help others. To me, that's the point of life. So after my mother died, this is how I felt, dressed in black all the time, sad as could be. And then I didn't care anymore if anyone judged me. I was like, you know what? I need to live my life. I'm tired of feeling depressed all the time in hospitals and funeral homes, nursing homes. It's just too much sadness, crying all the time. And I thought, what better way to live life than to go to the great big state fair of Texas, which I did the day after my mother's funeral. Probably one of the bravest things I ever did. I rode that roller coaster. I waved in my hands in the air like I didn't care. It was amazing. I ate every fried food, even drank fried coffee, y'all. It was awesome. I highly recommend it. If you want to live life, find a way, find joy, whether you go to the state fair or, I don't know, skydive, whatever your heart desires, find a way to find joy, find life. I thought I was doing all right for a good while, and I think I was, but, as I mentioned earlier, comedy, found comedy. My very first performance, I love to tell this story. First time I ever did stand-up comedy was not at a club. No open mic, no show, nope, America's Got Talent. That audition. I thought if I could do that, I could do anything. It was a wonderful experience. Had no idea how much comedy was going to help me. It still does. I have amazing friends, including some here in the audience, because of stand-up comedy. It's an amazing thing to do. But I had this stage fright issue, you see. And so my biological father and I were really close. And he made a pact. He said, Chelle, I know you did your America's Got Talent audition, but you're afraid to get on stage, do the real deal, so to speak. So we made a pact. He said, I'm going to go with you to your very first open mic. I'm going to perform, and so are you. And we did it, and it rocked. And I didn't have stage fright anymore. It was awesome. I started performing. I got better, kept at it until 2014 when he died. the stage fright came back after his death. I missed him. That was my mentor. That was my support, you know, my cheerleader when it came to comedy. That was hard. That was really hard. You have these mixed emotions when birth family dies. You have the regrets, but then you're also thankful for the time you had with them. But then you're sad you didn't have more time, just like anyone, any human, any death experience, really. But when you're a reunited adoptee, it's real mixed emotions there when it comes to the birth side of the family, especially deaths. So moving forward now to 2020, we all know 2020 way too well, don't we? I know it's sad but true, but I'm going to tell you my story. We each have one, and here is mine. First of all, it made me think all again about life. Like, oh my gosh, why did I not keep doing stand-up comedy? Now I might not have a chance again. They're closing all the clubs, they're closing everything. I was doing really good at my job. I work sales, mostly IT security sales. I was about to get a $3,000 bonus. I went from about to get this $3,000 bonus, money, to sorry, Chelle, we've all lost our jobs temporarily until we don't know when. We lost all our clients at once. Sales was hit hard. You see, most of us travel, can't travel, pandemic times, till they finally figured out some other ways, obviously, virtually, but even then, sales was the least concern of any company during a pandemic. It's still tough, but it's getting better. And I got to return to my job recently, so I'm very grateful for that. Don't get me wrong. But my challenge, you see, 2020, 2020, my surprises were, started New Year's Day, first of all. I went to a movie, Spies Like Disguise, I think that's the name of it, with Will Smith, a cute animated movie. They were doing some promotional movie day there at the theater. And an Amber Alert happened right in front of me. This cute little baby boy, toddler age, he kept walking up to me, waving, cute as could be. It didn't bother me. It was early in the day. It was New Year's Day. I was in a good mood. My heart still goes to kids. I love kids. I have 20 nieces and nephews. I'm very blessed with them. So I have a lot of patience. And I've worked with kids for over 5 years, so I do know a thing or two. And the mother was like, I'm so sorry. And she kept chasing after him. I was like, don't worry about it. And all of a sudden, this man came in the theater. I had no idea what that mama bear instinct was about until this day. I found out I have it too, even if it's not my own child, y'all. This man was blocking this woman, and I was like, something ain't right. Why is he bothering her? And she was like this, you know, trying to protect the baby. And then she tried to walk out of the theater, and it was very obvious something's not right. Women, we got that instinct, you know. Men have them too, but there's this thing, like I said, mama bear, maternal instinct, we know. And I never thought in a million years I would do this, but I ran as fast as I could. I was like, are you okay? Are you okay? I was trying to help her. I was intervening. Nothing was working. I ran for the security guard. It was the next closest, safest thing I could think of. You know, I didn't want to be beaten up, but I also had to intervene because I was trying to stall time and save this baby's life and this woman, this mother, keep the child and the mother together. But no, the guy unfortunately was able to grab the baby and run out the theater exit as I'm running to get the security guard. And we both run after the guy together. And we got his driver's license and we got that baby boy back 1 week later. Sadly, it took a whole week, but thank God that baby boy got reunited with that mother. Pray for them every day still. That was how my 2020 started, New Year's Day. A few months later, really only a month or two, I think it was like the end of February, I went to a Dwight Yoakam's concert. Here I go again, falling, broke my right hand, tripped on sidewalk, because there was like this stop sign that was chainsawed off, but they forgot, like they left the very bottom part of it and I didn't see it. It was dark and I tripped and went forward again. I tried to tough it out. I stayed at that concert for 1 hour, not knowing that'd be my very last concert before the pandemic. Oh, if I'd only known, I would have stayed the whole time. The next day was the very first crochet class I ever taught. I'd been waiting for months for this library. Our community, you know, they get background checks done all the time, but it takes a long time to get them done, long time. As soon as they got mine done, got it through, I taught my very first class, so there was no way I was going to miss out. My dominant hand is my right hand. I am right-handed to crochet and all. I didn't care. I still went and taught in person. I'm so glad I did, not knowing about the pandemic about to happen, literally. I went from that into, okay, Chelle, we know you've only taught one crochet class in person, but can you help us out? You know, we're struggling. We need help. All our other volunteer teachers, art classes and all, they're giving up. But we know you. We know your personality. We know you don't give up. No, I don't. What do you need? I will do it. Virtual. I've never taught virtually. I can't like do a hands-on interaction if I'm virtually. Chelle, come on. We need you. I'm up for the challenge. Let's bring it on. I've had international students with different measurements, if you know what I mean. It's been interesting when I was teaching every week and I loved it, I enjoyed it. I still do, but sadly I had to miss it and take a break myself for a while. May to August, I had COVID-19 long haulers. I was up every night, thankfully at my house, coughing, not breathing well. You name it, I was on steroid packs and all. And there was only one night that I actually should have really gone to the hospital because my oxygen level dropped to like 84. My doctor was so mad when he found out what I told him I did. I just stayed up all night, doctor. I just took all the meds every 2 hours until my stats went up. I promised myself if by morning I wasn't good to go again, if I couldn't be stabilized, I would go to the hospital. I'd go to ER, but I took care of it. It's fine. It's fine. So during this time, I had been waiting, like many of us, for special doctor appointments, special exams. And for me, it was the mammogram. Sorry, you can't come in. You've got fever because you got COVID. You can't come in. You got COVID. Fine. As soon as I get well, I need this test. I feel the lump. It's gotten bigger. Something's not right. My birth mother is a 2-time cancer survivor, breast cancer included. Please let me in as soon as possible. Finally, August, I get the diagnosis. You have a breast tumor and it has doubled in size. I said I told y'all that all along. I know my body. I knew that. I'm glad you finally confirmed it. Now what do we do about it? August 31st, I had breast tumor surgery, thinking it's going to be breast cancer because it was highly likely. Thinking also, whatever it is, let's deal with it, do treatment, get it done, move on. Nope. It's liposarcoma. You got through the surgery now after, by the way, complications, of course. They had to drain blood just to perform the surgery because during the pre-op, they put this marker in by the tumor you see, and the radiologist, well, she accidentally hit the tumor, causing hematoma. So when I showed up for surgery, oh, my surgeon was mad. She was like, I don't know if we're gonna do the surgery because I have to like scan this wand over that makes a noise, but you got all this blood here, so we're not gonna maybe be able to hear it and do it. We might have to reschedule it. No, I went through too much for pre-op because it's COVID times, you know, had to get a flu shot and run 103 fever for 3 days just to, you know, do all these pre-op requirements. And now you're telling me you might have to reschedule, delay? Do whatever you got to do and get the surgery done today. So she drained the surgery. Drained the blood, and we had the surgery done. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. I did not have to wait anymore. And then, like I said, I did get the diagnosis of liposarcoma. And sadly, after a while, thinking I'm getting through this recovery, she waits to tell me, Chelle, I have more bad news. I've been waiting to tell you this because I needed you to focus on getting well from the breast tumor surgery first, but you have 3 more tumors and they're in your back. Technically, it was 2. The third one didn't show up till the night before surgery. I felt another bump on my spine while in the shower. Crazy, I know, right? no idea that it was that bad. And she sent me off to a different surgeon. And then I had another complication. You know, you think, okay, I'm going to do surgery and I'm going to get through it. But then sometimes you have more drawbacks, more delays, more complications. And that one was afterwards. I ended up with an open incision on my spine. Oh, what fun, right? Not. But I got through it. And the way I got through all this is thanks to people like you that are here in the audience. You know, I learned about Eventbrite because that crochet class that I taught that I mentioned earlier that had international students. Yeah, thank goodness for that, because that's how I found out about Eventbrite. I sound like an ad right now, don't I? But it's true. You know, I was like, how am I getting international students? And the library is like, oh, we forgot to tell you that we put it on Eventbrite. And I was like, oh no, it's cool, it's cool. I just didn't know this was happening. And I was like, what's Eventbrite? And they're like, oh, it's these classes, you can do this and this. And I was like, oh, well, I've always wanted to try this and this, and I need to practice comedy. I can't get on a stage, so let me do this. And then I took all these courses, and then I met my friend Henry. We took a great 6 weeks class with this lady, Jane from England. They were supposed to have this British Comedy Festival, but so they had to do it virtual only, and she taught a free class, and we met, and Henry's all the way in New York, and I'm in Texas. And then afterwards, Henry, who I thought was so shy, and he's so sweet, he is so sweet, and he was like, hey, Chelle, will you co-host this thing called the Joke Feedback, where we can have other comedians and give each other feedback? And, you know, I had no idea that was going to become my new comedy family. Thank you, Henry. Thank you sincerely. Thank all my comedian friends. You really are my comedy family. And I've done art classes because I always wanted to do art. I almost failed paper mache in 6th grade, y'all. I've learned to draw, as you can see behind me there. That's a drawing of myself. I never thought I'd draw myself. And then the other one's my favorite. It's from Valentine's Day. I think it's like love, cup of love overfloweth, you know? And that coffee mug, by the way, on top says blessed, because I do feel that way. I feel like, you know, like a lot of us, mixed emotions. It's bittersweet. I'm sad I had to go through all this, but it makes me so much more humbled and so much more thankful. The creative side of me has come out more than ever. I never thought I'd write a song, which I'm about to share with y'all. I've done songwriting, art classes, music classes, you name it. I've learned it. I've done it. And I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep teaching grief recovery. I'm going to keep teaching crochet, and maybe I'll teach you other things in the future. I don't know, learn more. But on that note, let me share with y'all something here. Let's see, let me find it here. This is the first song I ever wrote, and it's kind of like spoken word poetry / rap style. And I wrote it in the experience of my very first cancer surgery, the breast tumor surgery I mentioned earlier. And it's called Rites of Passages because it's going to sound like it's about the surgery, and it is, but it's also about the recovery and about the lesson I learned. The rites of passages to me means, okay, I went through this. It was awful. But I had no idea that as soon as I got my courage up to tell everyone, because I waited a while to tell everybody that I had cancer. I didn't want to be judged. I didn't want it to be a charity case. It was really difficult. All of a sudden, I had so many people open up to me about their own life challenges, their own secrets, and realize I'm not alone and I can be their cheerleader too. So while I was going through my own surgeries, recoveries, it helped me to know I could still help others. I could still make a difference. Even if I'm in bed at home, I can do something. So here we go. Rites of passages. From a flu shot to a blood clot, in between, mess with a test for COVID-19, afterthought. Let's go from a pre-op to my surgery, shall we? Radiologist hit a blood vessel to put the marker on my tumor. Oh, no, sorry. But I forgave her. Didn't foresee those issues that the hematoma would bring, as my surgeon had to drain the blood just to perform my surgery. Quite frustrating indeed. Images, damages, feeling limited, trying to be limitless. Rites of passages. All these challenges and imbalances, let me turn them into advantages. Rites of passages. And now that brings me to the recovery. 2 weeks post-op turned into 2 months of why is it taking so long for you to heal up, Chelle, and no one understanding but me. Need an armory for my surgery internally, a return journey until recovery, rediscovery, rites of passages. Reaching out to me, praying, loving, overwhelmed but hoping, those who are struggling now asking for my cheerleading. Rites of passages. Rites of passages. So I'm technically still in recovery from the surgery from December 4th. My recovery official date is actually coming up like Labor Day weekend, to be exact, September, because all the complications. But I feel great because I'm in remission. Yeah, that was an amazing day. I cried all day long when I got that news. I waited forever to go. I had to go to doctor visits every week, and to finally hear, okay, the tests are clear. You're good. Thank God. But you still got to do your follow-ups. That's fine. And I'm doing them. But your surgery recovery, because all the complications you're not officially cleared to do exactly everything till September. So I have worked my way back up. I was exercising 3 hours a day before cancer. I was losing weight. I was getting better. And then all these roadblocks. And that was been the entire time. The biggest argument between my doctors and me is, I just want to exercise. I don't care if it's, 5 minutes a day or whatever. Actually, that is my problem. I do care. I want 3 hours a day. The doctors are the ones that said, let's just do gradually 5 minutes today, 10 minutes tomorrow. I've gotten up to an hour a day. It's taken me this long, but I cannot wait to get back up to 3 hours a day. I cannot wait now that I'm cleared and I'm fully vaccinated to get back to my gym, because I've been doing virtual classes only and walking the parks and all. I have a bike too. I love to ride, but I miss swimming more than ever. That has been like, everyone has their thing. That is my thing, is swimming. I love swimming. I feel like I'm a mermaid because I can swim all day long. That is the one thing I can do, and I'm good at it, real good at it. It's the best exercise for me, because when I'm in the water, I don't feel any pain, So I'm really excited about that. And I miss group classes too. I miss people. Don't we all? I miss that social interaction. The Zoom is great. It helps. Virtual's definitely, like I said, Eventbrite, Zoom, my friends here, like, y'all have been a saving grace for me more than you ever will know. And I'll still be around, but I'm excited to go back in person too. It's going to be really good. And I can't wait to come back a year or 6 months, however long it takes. Hopefully less time, the better I get to my weight goal. I did this other thing my family teases me about. I actually didn't used to take a lot of selfies. But as soon as I found out I had cancer and I knew I was going to have breast tumor surgery, I took a selfie 5 minutes after I woke up from that surgery recovery room, and told myself, I'm going to take a selfie at least one every day for the first month, and then one every week after. Sometimes I take a few a day. I don't know, depending on how I feel. I just wanted to remind myself that no matter how ugly I feel on the inside or outside, tumors and all, I am beautiful. We all are. We all have our weaknesses, but we all have our strengths. And I have built up my confidence just by doing these selfies. So call it cliche. I don't care what you think. It's just what I got to do for me. So I hope you like them, but if not, maybe you enjoy the self-portrait instead over there, that drawing. Let's see. And on that note, there's another thing I'm going to go back on that I haven't mentioned yet. We're almost to the end of this, by the way, so bear with me here, and then we'll do Q&A session. But another thing that I found, I mentioned, of course, my parents died in 2008. So I had created this bucket list. It's called Coffee Wishes, Chapter 5 from my life story. I found myself creating a bucket list and making wishes one by one after I lost my parents. And I go on to talk about how I created a podcast, because that's another thing I thought I can do that I'm in control of, that can be positive, something to look forward to, keep me busy. And it has. I've interviewed so many celebrities and other people, nonprofit directors, actors, book authors, music directors, and musicians, and more, But my favorite ever from the bucket list that came out of the whole podcast was when Super Bowl was here in Dallas. I think it was 2012. I'm not sure exactly right now. I asked for a media pass, not thinking I'd get it, just going for it. And I got it. They said yes, so I went. And I interviewed all these celebrities. Kevin Sorbo, who was Hercules, my favorite actor, Omar Miller from 8 Mile, CSI Miami, Miracle Lake St. Anna. He's the chocolate giant in that movie. One of my favorite works of his. Love him. Omar and I are still friends to this day. I adore him. Shout out to you, Omar. I love you, my friend. Nellie was there. It was snowing all weekend. I was scared to death. I was by myself. And Nellie was right in front of me and I froze. And all the celebrities wanted to talk about was the snow in Dallas. It never snows in Dallas. Now, of course, we all know we've had snow Armageddon for a whole week in Texas not long ago, but back then it was rare. And Nellie at the time had some controversial song and, and then the snow. So that's all they were asking him about. And he was right in front of me and I froze because he was the one that made me the most nervous. He was the most famous at the time there. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's Nellie. I can't do it. I can't do it. Oh, no, you have to do it, Chelle. I had that 8 Mile moment in my head, that song, Eminem's song, like the moment song. I was like, it's now or never. Just do it. And I did it. I was like, Nellie, hi, I'm Chelle. How you doing? Can I interview you? Sure. He was so nice that he not only gave me the longest interview, he promoted my podcast. Like I have a promo clip, Nellie saying for you to tune in to Coffee Talk with Chelle, where there's always variety in life on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Central Time. And if that is not a plug, I don't know what is. So thank you, Nellie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But yeah, this podcast took me on this interesting journey and it still does. I went on hiatus like a lot of things to take a break because of 2020 and my cancer and all, but I'm getting back to things now. And it's something I have not given up. I have had a podcast since 2009. I've had over 100 interviews, over 300 segments. I do trending topics, open mic. I do all kinds of stuff on this podcast. And my favorite thing was some of the people that I've interviewed over the years, I made trips. I just book a trip and go visit them in person. And it's been so cool. So, so cool. So again, I hope that my life story has shown you there are always ways to overcome any challenge. You can take the worst situation and make it good. Broken arms sucked. I learned to crochet for physical therapy, so my arms wouldn't be bent the rest of my life. And now I teach crochet. I just announced to the adult students I have that I'll be teaching kids this summer. They've all signed up their own kids now. It's just seen the look on their faces. They lit up so excited that, oh, now my kid can take class with me. They can learn crochet too. It was so cute, so sweet. I never thought my broken arms would lead me to that, to teaching future generations this old tradition of crochet. It's a beautiful thing. I never thought losing my parents especially would anything good could come out of such a horrible situation. But I learned how to turn it around and teach grief recovery and help others. And yeah, it's difficult, it's challenging, but again, it's rewarding. It's like being a doctor or a nurse. I couldn't do it, but I applaud you if you do, first responders, paramedics, all of you. Thank you. And I never thought cancer would ever be something good. But my creative side has been bright, like shining bright. And I love it. I love the creative side of the vulnerability. I'm like right now, I'm allowing myself to do this. Ron, my friend, will tell you I've rescheduled this life story show so many times because I just wasn't ready. And now today I finally was, and I finally did it. So again, this is how I'm always finding joy in my life. Whatever obstacles come my way. I know I'm up ahead, have more challenges in the future. I don't know what, but we all are. And whatever it may be, I hope you find a way to always be finding joy too. And on that note, I think I'm about wrapped up here. We're going to switch to Q&A segment. Anyone have any questions for me about any of these aspects of my life story?
How was your name? How did you know your name?
Oh, okay. Good question. So my original name was Karen Kelly before adoption. I did not find that out till age 24. And the way I found out was when I took the tour of the adoption agency, they explained this to me. They said, we take the, they take the first letter of the birth mother's last name, So my birth mother's maiden name at that time was Kelly, and they create a first name. So that's how my name was Karen Kelly, which I love the name, Irish name, right? So yeah, my name was Karen Kelly before adoption. And technically my name is Janet Michelle, but the day my parents adopted me, my mom actually seen the video and heard her say Chelle. And I was like, oh, that's so special. And my parents always called me Chelle growing up. Now, in school and stuff, it was either Janet or Michelle, depending on where it was or whatever. But most of my friends said Michelle because I didn't embrace the nickname Chelle until college, honestly. And later on, especially after my parents died, I decided I want everyone to call me Chelle in memory of my parents. Thank you, Ying. Oh, she's writing some nice notes. Do you have a question for me, Ying?
Yeah, hi, Chelle. Yes, it's wonderful to hear
Thank
you
you.
overcame all these difficulties in your life, and also you run a podcast. That's great. From what year you start doing podcast? Are you still running it?
Yes, I am. Since 2009, February 2009 to be exact.
Okay.
My parents' last death, my mother's died last September 2008, and then that February 2009 is when I began the podcast. And again, it's normally on Sunday nights, which it will be starting again in June.
Okay, so it's just the voice, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, I have video interviews too on YouTube. You can check them out. I've done a few random ones here and there, like art teachers and stuff during the pandemic. But my regular ongoing is mostly audio. But like the Super Bowl,
so
that was all in
I
person.
will check it out on YouTube. Is that just your name?
Coffee Talk WC is the name you can find on YouTube.
It's a coffee something.
Coffee Talk WC.
Oh, Coffee Talk. Okay, that's
WC.
great. That's great. Because I'm thinking about starting a Zoom podcast.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, I've done Zoom interviews.
Yeah, I run a couple pilot and
I encourage you so much. I encourage anyone to
I took classes, but I've been so busy with comedy. I want to kind of establish in the comedy first, then do, because the Zoom Zoom podcast, what I have in mind is mostly solo, but then also I have an interview, so I need to.
You can always interview comedians.
Yeah, you're so inspiring. You're so inspiring. Thank you, Sherry. Yeah.
Thank you. You all inspire me. Thank you. Oh, and Ron just posted the link to my YouTube channel. Thank you, Ron.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ying, for the question. Thank you, Rick.
I'll check that out. Yeah.
Now, Ron, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, very amazing story. And there was so many aspects of your life I didn't know. So it was very powerful, to hear what you had to go through and how you found joy. When did you decide to write this all down and think of doing it in a monologue reading? And is that only the beginning? Will that translate into a memoir, a book, where do you go from here? And that's the first part of the question. And the second part, how healing, did you find it healing to talk about what you had to go through, or does it just drag up, old feelings that you wish you wouldn't have to go through again, which could be either way. So those are two different questions. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. Okay, let me go back to the first one. I'm trying to remember.
When did you decide to write it, and what will happen from this point on?
The memoir. Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, the monologues. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so pretty much, I guess I started writing my life story book 2010. Half of it's done already. It's been done since 2009. And that is, the first half of the book is all about the first part of my life story of being a reunited adoptee, teaching grief recovery. So from when I was born, adopted, through 2008, even 2009, my podcast. So my book concept, I intertwine how the podcast has helped my various parts of life. Like I'll mention a guest in an interview topic or whatever, and how like that topic, that guest I interviewed helped me with a certain life issue. So I kind of intertwine. That's why my life story book is my podcast name, Coffee Talk with Chelle, where there's always writing life as the tagline. And then I don't know why, maybe because it was kind of painful for a while to you know, it is kind of difficult sometimes to relive things like that, especially parents' losses and stuff like that. So I put it down. I was like, you know, I'll just come back to it and add more later. I'll probably do more interviews and stuff anyway. And then I just really put it down for a long time. I just was like, I'm not ready to finish it. I'm not ready to release it. And it was just kind of like comedy, you know, I gave it up after my birthday died, you know, having that issue with stage fright again after his loss. And as you know, death affects us all in different ways. And that's how it affected me. It was like, I'm just going to take a break from this, or I have to be ready. And then the pandemic, something like major, like a pandemic, it's like an eye opener. It's a wake up call, a reminder. Oh my gosh, I've wasted all this time. I need to get back to comedy. Oh my gosh, I need to finish this book. But then I realized it's a blessing in disguise I didn't finish the book, because now my second half of the book is about my cancer journey, about the pandemic, you know, all these things. So I hope to finish it, I would say in a year or less, probably less, honestly. I just say a year to give myself extra room. But yeah, one of my old friends, my dear friends, he published his book during the pandemic. He dedicated it to my father, that was his high school teacher. It's a beautiful story. I'm very proud of him. He'll be my first interview guest when I return to my podcast. I promised him he's going to be my first guest back, you know, when I return. And I think he's truly motivated me to finish my book. He made me realize I can do this. I can. And even doing this, like, thanks to you and your organization, you know, I told you I hadn't acted since I was in second grade, and you have an awesome organization, and you were like, Chelle, you want to do a monologue or two from your book? And I literally just transferred over from 2 chapters of my book. Those are just 2 chapters that turned into 2 monologues. So yeah, I think so. And then what was the other question?
No, and I like that, you know, having heard those 2 chapters previously, you know, that was amazing seeing them as part of the entire, you know, monologue. So that was very great. And the second question, so now that you've done this, and obviously you're going to keep working on it, you know, in the book, is it healing for you, or is it just bringing up, you know, all these things that happened to you and you wish you wouldn't have to go through this? I mean, what's the impact? And what do you recommend to other people that may go through the same thing, you know?
I got you on this. Okay. It is both. Take a break. Do it, but like me, take a break. You know yourself best. So like for me, you know, it gets so emotional. Like yesterday, even just doing the outline, I was like, okay, I know I'm ready to do this life story show. I'm at that point now. I can do it. I'm ready. But even last night, I was writing the outline. And I was like, just go to the park, take a walk, clear my head, take the iPod, listen to the music. And then an hour later, I was like, okay, I'm ready to get back to it. Just take a break, you know, whether it's 1 month, 1 day, whatever. Pace yourself. You know yourself best. But the biggest reason why I do this is because, like you and many have taught me, if you share your story, you never know whose life you are helping. If other people didn't share their stories, if my friend didn't write his book, I wouldn't know his story. I wouldn't know that he and I both are, you know, have gone through cancer. He's going through cancer himself right now. You know, like I'm praying for him every day, you know, because he was gracious enough to share that with me. You know, his book's not exactly about that, but to see that he's going through that and was able to get a book published. I mean, wow, you know, I think we all help each other somehow, some way. Our stories may be different. I always have this quote I say that kind of made up, and maybe it's paraphrased from another, but I always say, like, we all have a life story. It's just up to each of us if we share it and win. But once we do, like, I've done it now. Now, open door policy, ask me anything. And I hope I've helped at least one person. So that's why I do it.
Along those lines, what would you've been in part of so many families, what would you consider family?
Oh, that's a great question. I have 8 sides of the family all together, if you count blended family. I have step parents.
I mean, because a lot of people are dealing with these kinds of issues and they don't know.
Yeah, it's challenging. I mean, honestly, family really is, I mean, I say comedy family because I feel like that, like it can be biological, it can be adoptive, like in my cases, it can be like y'all, like my friends are family to me. I don't know, all my friends are, but certain ones. When Henry and I started the joke feedback, I just thought we were just going to help each other out, write jokes. And then I became like friends. Like, I feel like y'all are forever friends. Seriously. Like, I hope I have forever friendships with y'all because we have shared so much with each other in our lives. And, you know, I don't know, maybe because of pandemic too, you know, it brings you closer together. But I hope and pray everyone has a family, whether it's biological, adoptive, or friends, or what have you. You find your own family sometimes, and that's okay. That's all right. It's like I watched Big Brother, and Kevin from New York. He was like, "Hey, I want all y'all to come to my home for Thanksgiving," and they all went. The whole cast it was like a family Thanksgiving, and it was so cool. That's me. I'm Kevin. Everybody come here for Thanksgiving. That would be amazing. Any other questions?
Yeah, I like how you said that you find your family, which is similar to you found joy, you know, which is the title, obviously, of what we just heard, you know. So that was great. Thank you so much for sharing that, for being brave and vulnerable,
and not rescheduling ever again.
Hey, it eventually happened, and that's just the beginning, you know. Like, yes, you know, it maybe you weren't ready yet for 4 months ago, you know, but now was the time, and I'm glad you did. So I'm happy to call you my friend, and I'm looking forward to see your journey, you know, from here on. You know?
Thank you, Ron. I appreciate that. Thanks for not giving up on me. Make sure I finally followed through with it. I did it. Yay.
Oh, that was really, really great.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate that.
I didn't realize a lot of that stuff, and I'm very.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to do it, because there's so much more to the story people don't know.
I'm sure, but it'll come out in your book.
Yeah, it will. There will be more details. Book is when you can really dive in more. Yeah, as you know, I know we all three here love to write.
You looked into a publisher, or are you going to publish it yourself?
I have one publisher in mind, and that is my friend's publisher. I would probably, you know, trust them first, but if that didn't work, I do know of a couple more. So, but I'm open to other publishers if you know anyone. I'm saying I'm open to comparing, but I do have someone in mind. Yeah. I wish I was in England, because in my art class, there's a nice lady that owns a book publishing company, and like half my class is her book authors. So, but I'm not in England, so I don't think I count. I would do it if I could. I'll ask her, but I think
I was going to say it doesn't matter.
I mean, it didn't hurt. Maybe I can be her first international author.
There you go.
That would be amazing. I mean, I do have British roots, as you know. And the most ironic part, I do want to say this while I'm recording, because this is very ironic. When I got my DNA test back, it came back that I actually had more British DNA than Irish DNA. And it's because, I think because on my birth dad side, it turns out there is British roots. But I still, of course, have my Irish roots on my birth mom's side. But to be an adoptee and have people tell you like, oh, you don't have British roots because you're adopted, it hurts really bad, because you're like, I was raised by a British family. I'm very proud of my maiden name that I grew up with, you know, and all that, the British flag and all around my house. My father taught British literature, so it hurt real bad. So when I got that DNA test to find out I actually had British DNA, that was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to be like, that's actually in my genes too. That's amazing. So it's really nice to have both Irish and British DNA, you know. I got lucky. I like that I have both, because I love both sides, you know.
Well, and like you said,
oh, and I forgot to say the most beautiful thing my adoptive mother said when I told my parents my birth mother found me. She said, now you have more people to love you.
That is beautiful. Yes. Oh.
I wish I'd said that in the show. Oh well. I said it now. We're still recording.
And there will be more shows like this. So you just edit now, you know.
I'm not sure when I'm going to handle another show like this. I've been emotional. Let's go to the book next.
Edit to the book then. That's good.
You're going to have a book tour too. So you're going to have to talk about that.
Oh, good point. Maybe the more I do this, it'll get easier, because I can't cry for 2 days straight again. I just can't go through that again. Hey, we're on schedule.
There'll be people who will want to come to the bookstore to listen and to talk to you. So
yeah, book tour, comedy tour. That sounds like a really cool intertwined idea there. Mm-hmm.
Well, and take the advice that you gave yourself from last year. You know, just because we are now allowed to do physical book tours again, also keep doing virtual book tours. I would love to have you, you know, for a virtual book talk, you know, with my organization, you know. And obviously, if you happen to visit New York City, then we can also do it in person.
I've got to go to New York. I've got to go to Ellis Island, and I've got to find the signatures of my birth family, Kelly, that went through Ellis Island. That's
Oh,
my birth mom's side. Yeah, because remember, Karen Kelly was my name.
that's amazing, you know. And I like how you said that, you know, yes, your DNA may show you one thing, you know, but it's not just the DNA, it's who raised you, you know,
It's
the
both.
adopt.
Yeah, I mean, I count birth family just as equal, honestly. They're both a huge part of me. My genetics, my adoptive side, my birth side, they're both a huge part of me.
And this goes back to what is family and
Mhm.
what do individuals consider their family?
Yeah, because friends are, I mean, my friends will tell you, my high school friends and college friends for life, and y'all, like, friendship is a huge thing for me. It's very important to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely family. Yeah, like y'all. My comedy family. Okay, any more questions? I'm giggling because I'm nervous still.
Okay, you did great. It was good.
Okay, thank y'all so much. So I'll go back to full screen and do my little thank you to everybody real quick here, y'all, and then I'll stop recording just a minute. So speaker view. And again, that was always finding joy. I'm giggling. See, always finding joy. And oh my goodness. Yeah, so that is my life story. I'm sure there's much more to come. I hope you'll check out my book once it's finally done, hopefully in a year or less. And if y'all have any questions, message me. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Coffee Talk WC. Follow my podcast. Look up Coffee Talk with Chelle. My name is spelled Chelle, but it's said like shell, like a seashell. See, that's a seashell behind me by those drawings. Okay, but let me just look at the camera and say thank you to every one of you, because you have no idea how much you all have helped me get through the most difficult times of my life. So thank you, seriously. God bless each and every one of you. Thank y'all.
Thanks.